Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble, on Patreon, and anything else I usually go about on Twitter X. Just a quick note I did some firmware update on the software of the microphone and such, so pardon me if it looks a little bit different than usual, but I think everything is okay. And also later today we'll have the second episode of Death Stranding. I've been able to play around with it and record some more episodes here and there. Uh, I will see if I have enough backlog episodes to maybe start ramping up a little bit the publishing of episodes there. I've been having a blast doing a lot of stuff wrong as usual, sometimes on the delivery stuff there. But yeah, I need to ramp up my game on the planning of what to do on the game there. But yeah, having fun there. And we also have the complete gameplay series 4K and 1080p, which are the oldest ones. Yeah, other than that, I think that's it in terms of updates here. Let's go to the news. I did mention this a couple of days ago, give or take, regarding some Computex coverage. I think it was the Power that covered this regarding this new Seasonic. Again, this is the top line here. It's not exactly the same model, but I think it was a prototype. I think it's not still on the market or not going to be launched on the market soon. But yeah, we got here one of the Seasonic's top of the line stuff here with six 12-volt power pin connectors there. As you can see, it's a lot. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you about this 12-volt power connections here. But one thing interesting that they are doing is one of them is the OptiSync, which is basically finding a way of having the cooling, at least a part of the passive cooling with the heat sinks and the such, the way they are integrated on the PCBs and everything to not also use less materials, but have better cooling capacity in terms of the passive cooling there. And again, it gains a little bit more extra room. So again, I will assume the fan will be able to pull out the heat a little bit better. But also this part here. This is the part of what I was trying to talk about, which is basically kind of a system where they going to have, let's say, capabilities of monitoring each power cable that delivers power, especially on the 12-volt power pin. I think is a feature they are still wrapping up, working on this one. Even though it's not a power distributor or power restrainer, it's basically kind of a safety feature in the sense that if when it exceeds certain uh, levels. Usually, it's regarding amperage, which basically is the power of the current to a certain degree. It will shut down, and before that, it will trigger a warning. It will supposedly will come with some software, so you can install and that monitoring system that it's working on the background. When it reaches certain levels on the 12-volt power pin stuff there, it will trigger an alarm there for you to be aware of that something might be going on the 12-volt power connectors. But yeah, the interesting thing is, again, it's not the PSU side of things to have this problem that we have with the 12-volt power pin to resolve that because it's not again power delivery for the GPU side of things is it is part of the work of the GPU to require power from the PSU. PSU is just there to deliver the power that the hardware device needs. Um, and it is reliant on the GPU for them to demand that power and control within the GPU itself the power distribution, let's say. The fact that, as you can see here, again, I will mention this until this thing is solved. As you can see, even the physical size of the connectors themselves is a huge difference here, which will, especially in the resisting of the connection, it's going to be completely different. There is less resistance on the connection, which is the contact surface that when you establish a connection on a connector, there's going to be less physical resistance and electric resistance when you connect these bigger connectors, the PCI connectors, given the 8, the 6, and even the ATX 24 pins, or even this one that is for the motherboard to give CPU power there, if not mistaken. They are bigger in because they are bigger. There is bigger contact surface. Again, can be negligible at the naked eye, but in terms of how power works, it makes a huge difference because we never saw any PCI Express connectors burn out of nowhere. While with the 12-volt power pins, we've been seeing that occurring specifically after the 40 series launch there. Again, I do mention, and I usually mention that we have the first implementation of the 12-volt power pins with the 3090 Ti. But the fact that the 3090 Ti had the module on the GPU side of things of basically moduling the power, so they have like a stopping gap and kind of a regulator module in that GPU. It enabled not to be burned even when the demanding power was reaching the limits of this 12-volt power pins. And they removed that module from the 30 series and newer GPUs there, which I think it is one. I think it's the easiest solution to just wrap up with the situation with 12-volt power pin. Even though I think in terms of tolerances and all that jazz, I think they should have gone. It's preferable to go with the big boy kind of PCI E Express stuff because it has higher tolerance from the max limit of the connection itself. So even if things go a little bit extra of the considered tolerance of the connection, the connection and the cables and all that jazz can handle that without any issues, without burning or anything like that. While again, the 12-volt power pin, they try to reduce the physical size of the connections, and that will inevitably make the tolerances smaller because then when we input the compounding effect of mass manufacturing, there is going to be some deviations of the optimal design of the connector itself, and from the connector pins, from the cable manufacturers, from everything else. And again, they are trying to, from the side of a PSU, to try and guarantee that they can at least have an emergency shut-off system kind of a thing there with some alarms integrated before it reaches the, I don't know, I'm not sure, 12 amperes. I think it's the max limit that the cables could handle to avoid continuing to burn the connector itself. Again, from their side, again, they're trying to reach a solution there. While I think again, it's part of the GPU side of things because it is the one that commands more or less power from the PSU. Basically, the PSU is the slave to the master of the GPU in terms of power demanding and power delivery there. But yeah, I don't think it will again definitely solve because there's again, as I said, the tolerances for sure. Some GPUs will continue to burn their connectors, something like that, because again, even that limit of the what the PSU will deliver, and it can't shut down before reaching that critical levels. Again, some connectors might have a lesser tolerance than the usual, and it might incur in some malfunction or a failure on the hardware side of things before the PSU can guess if it is or not burning the connector or not. But yeah, interesting stuff there. We got also from some early benchmarks from the 9060 XT. Again, the only one that seems to be any good is going to be the 16 gigabytes variants. And it seems in terms of benchmarks, again, synthetic benchmarks, not going to be apples to apples kind of a thing on games. But supposedly it stays between the 7700 XT and the 7600 XT 16 gigabytes variants. Again, they should have done something similar to this. I think the 7600 XT, it's automatically the 16 gigabytes. If you want the 8 gigabytes, you buy the non XT variant. I think they should have done something like that with this GPU. But again, they follow up on the NVIDIA example on this situation. And again, it maintains on other benchmarks here, even on Vulkan, even though it's expected, the 9060 XT 16 gigabytes is expected to have a performance at least comparable to the 5060 Ti 16 gigabytes. But yeah, again, we need to wait at least a week or so, if not mistaken, until the launch and the embargo lift of the review side of things, so you have a better idea if it is really something that will battle for king of the hill in terms of entry level GPUs of this generation here. But yeah, interesting stuff there. Again, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully they don't screw the pooch, the MSRP. If the MSRP stays for $350, and it performs as well as a 5060 Ti 60 gigabytes, which is way more expensive than this AMD. Hopefully, players will have something on the entry level to buy into the new generation at a more affordable price. Even though again, $350 is a lot, I think this card should be hovering on the $300, because again, $50 in this range, in this price range, makes a difference in terms of budgetary constraints. But yeah, let's see how it goes. We just need to wait around almost a week or so. Then on the gaming side, we got now yesterday, by the end of my day, a lot of Elden Ring, NightReign reviews have been popping out. Again, I watch basically from Facts Live. They're usually quite not or less biases as it can be. But the consensus on all the review scores, it seems to be hovering around 8 and 9 out of 10. Again, they go very in deep. They even tell you how many weapons, how many stuff there is here. Again, the consensus seems to be pretty good in terms of the combat, a little bit more fast paced than Elden Ring, of course. But yeah, the co-op seems to be pretty good. The only complaint in terms of the co-op stuff there from Facts to Life, I don't know if it is something regarding because it was under review. I think in terms of server side of things, they were only managed to connect to worldwide servers, so there is no regional servers. Uh, that will lend itself if you need to connect something that it's in a server that is far away from your physical location. Again, you got the lag input there, and some stuff usually tends to not play that well when you have this kind of lag. And I think also the communication system is not basically not existing in a sense that there is no in-game chat for you to go around. At least it seems from the reviews that I saw, for you to have like an in-game chat function for you to work around and do things in co-op there. At least, again, don't quote me on that, but that's the feeling that I got from the yeah, as you can see here, the multiplayer adds entire layer of interest, very fun aspect, but your in-game communication is limited to pings with no option for voice or written chat, which can be, I don't know, maybe they will eventually try to go about and I don't know, solve that situation, because again, in these kind of situations, in-game chat, I think it's good given that it's co-op. So supposedly the conversation will be less aggressive in the sense that people will try to communicate more to try and get around and defeat bosses in conjunction with each other, instead of trying to just I don't know, tease everybody when we are talking about PvP. But yeah, the price is going to be $40. Again, the content there and the replayability seems to be pretty good. The story, the way it's told, is a little bit like From Software. Even though some directions of some objectives that you can make on each run to advance the story of the character and having more information, it's not very well provided to the player. But yeah, supposedly it will have more content throughout time after launch. But it seems that it is a great uh, or a good deal at this moment in time. If you like co-op, the combat seems to be fine-tuned for what it tries to be. So I think we got a good game here. We just need to see how well this is going to fare throughout its life cycle. If the content that is going to be launched is going to be anything that might justify the prices of those content packages there. Again, this is for me in terms of the overall scheme of things from software. Again, I think they are trying with this NightReign plus the Dusk Blood stuff there that's going to on Switch. I think they're trying different things on how they will can tweak around with systems regarding multiplayer stuff there. In this case, NightReign is going to be more how the 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 game in terms of co-op mechanics and systems try to find a way for them to work around and see what serves best for what they want to achieve in other games and get a little bit more experience. And with that, they will have feedback from the players for sure, and they will see what is going to be best for, I don't know, upcoming games. And for Dusk Blood, it's more about PvP. It's more focused on that side of things. And probably they will see what's going to be served best for them to see how they can in other games maybe implement multiplayer features better than, for example, the Dark Souls and even Elden Ring. Um, Again, even though I like the asynchronous multiplayer things there, like for example, Death Stranding, the way you interact with other players, not directly, it's to a certain way, it's like Elden Ring, with the exception of when you have PvP and the such or some cooperative stuff there, you can interact directly, but a lot of it is asynchronous. I prefer for myself something similar to that Stranding. People leave stuff in their world that can bleed through your own world. Everybody can help themselves. They got the like system on that Stranding, which I think is very interesting. So you can ramp up your stats also. It can help out on that. I think again they are two completely different games of what they're trying to achieve, but I think the asynchronous multiplayer thing is something that it serves me best because I don't like very much playing PvPs. Co-ops, I never like too much co-ops, mainly because again I'm from the era of the dialed-up internet, and again when you try to play co-op on the dial-up internet connection or something similar to that, it's a pain in the ass. You cannot basically pay anything. But yeah, other than that, it seems to be a pretty decent game. Um, Again, if you like co-op games, I think this might be a good champion point. Again, you just pay the $40. There is no microtransactions. Everything is unlocked through gameplay, and basically that's that. If you like to try it out, even the boss fight seems to be pretty good, and it's quite challenging single player. If you want to play single player, it seems that it's pretty challenging but very rewarding. I don't know. Maybe one day I will try to solo this game by myself, and avoid the co-op stuff there. But yeah, that's me. On other stuff, interesting enough, this Shuei Oshida now it's talking to a lot throughout this kind of. This is the Lantam event, Gamescom Lantam. He's doing some interviews here and there. Some things I can have some agreement with them. Others, again, it's the corporate mentality of CEOs. They just seem to see the world in a different lens than people that are paying for them, but paying for their salaries. But there was a comment here regarding Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. Again, I don't like both of them. For example, PlayStation Plus, I don't understand that having a console, you have to pay a subscription service to play games online. I don't understand that. Uh, Given I've always been mainly a PC player and things just work uh, without the need to pay extra fees to have basically access to the internet in a sense. Again, I understand the part of PlayStation Plus having. I think that the way that always worked was you paid the fee for that PlayStation Plus thing, and from time to time you get free games. Usually it's indie games or something like that, or older games. And Xbox Game Pass, again, I assume it has the same kind of thing regarding internet connection, playing the games online. You have to pay the Game Pass, and then you have an access. Basically, it works similar to Netflix. You got a library of games that you can play around while you have the this service active. Um, but I think the way it works seems a little bit different. And the comment that he made regarding this is if the only way for people to play games is through subscription, that's really dangerous. Yes, but because what type of games can be created will be detected by the owner of the subscription service. That's really, really risky because there always must always okay be fresh new ideas tried by small developers that create the next wave of development. But if big companies dictate what games can be created, I don't think that will advance the industry. Okay, yes, right, and it's common sense stuff to a certain degree. Sometimes these guys discover common sense from time to time, but we don't see that applied in a lot of cases in the gaming industry. Again, these services usually tend to be a good deal for paying customers in the short term, but in the long term, again, the trends can be dictated by these huge services and how games are made to a certain extent, like Sui Yoshida said there. And that can be it can have a blue black effect to the customer, because again, if you're playing a subscription fee for a library of games where basically all the games are the same thing with different visual skins basically, people will eventually lose interest in those services because they don't have anything interesting to offer to a certain extent, unless, for example, there is a kind of a clear, obscure, kind of independent developer that tries to do something more innovative in what we have on the landscape of games. But those cases will be fewer and fewer in between, because we will have supposedly a normalization of how games should be developed, because they need to be integrated in these subscription services. And even that subscription services, as I covered uh, last week or something like that, again, for you to have your game on Game Pass, you are paid an advance fee for that to be there. And then there is that shenanigans with the metrics, how many installations are there, how many active users are playing the game, for how much. And then if you reach like the top 5 or top 10 of those metrics, you will get some kind of royalties fees from that. But yeah, I don't think this will work very well on the long run, because for it to compensate for, let's say, Microsoft, you have to have a huge subscription based thing there. It's not sustainable, because they are taking all the revenue of Xbox Game Pass to finance games by themselves. I assume PlayStation has something similar in that sense. And yeah, I don't think in the long term, if they will need infinite growth to try and justify the existence of this service, or they will need to just every year or every 6 months increase the price of each tier of the service, or come around with new tiers to try and justify the existence of the service itself, plus the financing of the inflated budgets that we've been seeing. Again, as we've been seeing, $300 million for a game, I think it reaches a point that it's unfeasible. The same way, to a certain extent, some Hollywood movies have like so much inflated budgets, $500 million for a movie. Then you are basically pressured to make at least billion and a half in revenue, which is difficult to do even in modern days. And usually they always going to try and pass that extra cost to the customer itself. In the case of games, is going to be the increasing of the tiers of Xbox Game Pass, or as they try to do and try to justify increasing the game prices by itself from 70 to 80, then to 100 and something like that, instead of them trying to innovate inwards and trying to have smaller teams that can make good games for less. Again, I will bring up the example of Claire Obscure for Expedition 33. Again, excellent game, focused on what they're trying to achieve there, and it cost not much to, I think, 15 or 30 million dollar euros or something like that. Again, don't quote me on the numbers there, but it's very cheap to make. It's already sold at least 3 million copies. They are basically getting a success case here. And again, we've been seeing this in smaller indie titles. In the even, for example, there was that game where you are a drug dealer. I completely forgot the name of the game, made by a single player. We got this a few years ago. Stardew Valley was made by one guy. Vampire Survivors made by a handful of people. And the such in these cases, again, it demonstrates that it's possible when you want to do something, a passion project or a specific game, it can be done on the cheaper side of things, and can be successful because basically you're demonstrating your uniqueness on the way you approach on making a game. It's not just a bunch of game mechanics that are the same in every game that it's out there. Everybody's trying to copycat Fortnite. Again, Fortnite by itself was a fluke because it still, I think it will die down because it's trying to be an everything game, and I don't think that works in as a principle, because when you want to try and do everything for a game, again, I don't think it will go very far in the long run. But again, Fortnite is been proving a little bit wrong, that proposition. But again, it's kind of a fluke in that sense. But yeah, it's one of those things. Game Pass stuff there, or any kind of subscription service, can look good on the short and medium term to the customers, but it can have a degrading effect on the gaming industry, on the developing side of things, and how mainly publishers see the business side of things in a completely different way that we had before the rise of these kind of subscription services. Then we got other stuff here. We got Cyberpunk 2 supposedly is now in pre-production. This comes after first quarter financial report from CDPR. They're already now on pre-production. They're being opened an office in the United States just to build this game, which I find very odd in that sense. But yeah, then we got other information. For example, Phantom Liberty has sold 10 plus million units, and The Witcher 3 60 plus million units, which is a lot. But yeah, it's good to see that good games, especially the Cyberpunk after that botched launch, to see that they managed to turn around and recover from that by delivering good updates, and by the end just wrapping up with a bow tie on the Phantom Liberty seems to be one of the better DLCs or content stuff that they post game that they did in CDPR, basically comparable to The Witcher 3, Blood in Wine, and Art of Stone. And then interesting here, we got kind of the update on their workforce. They have a total of 750 developers working, 422 on The Witcher 4, which is the next one because it's in full production now. Around almost 100 working on Cyberpunk 2, 48 on multiplayer spin-off project series, which I don't remember exactly what this is. Then we got basically 20 developers on the new IP Hadar, so I will assume this is not even in pre-production, in concept phase maybe. And then 131 developers on shared service and 14 on other projects. Again, I will assume this is kind of, they are going about just giving a support role on whatever they are needed. I assume that is what it is. But yeah, again, after the Cyberpunk, I'm not sure how confident I am, especially with The Witcher 4, especially from the news and the information that we got, plus the way they are supposedly trying to go about using Siri and Cyberpunk 2. Again, I'm not sure regarding how confident I am with that project. Uh, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Until then, we got Cyberpunk and Witcher 3 to play around from CD Project Red. But yeah, hopefully they can turn around and stop doing the missteps that they've been doing in the last years. But yeah, at least they are doing good. Let's see if they get the message of having good games that sell well message there. Then we got also some kind of rumors regarding Machine Games, the guys that did now Wolfenstein soft reboot and the Indiana Jones Great Circle game there. It seems that they have might cancel an unannounced project. People are worried that this might be Wolfenstein 3 again from the mainline games of Wolfenstein. So Wolfenstein, the New Order, I think, then the new Colossus, which is Wolfenstein 2. They seem pretty good. Even not Young Blood, sorry, that is not a good one. The Old Blood, I think, which is kind of the prequel for the Wolfenstein one. They seem to be pretty decent. I played the first one, the New Order. I quite enjoy it. The New Colossus never played it. I will eventually one of these days go through that franchise. But yeah, the fact that Youngblood and the VR game that they got there doesn't seem that good, and for all intents and purposes, in terms of the feedback from player feedback, is not that good. Supposedly, I think on the Youngblood, supposedly Blakowski or whatever the guy name is in game, supposedly died, and then these are like the two daughters taking the reins there again. It's a little bit weird, but yeah. Other than that, people are worried that Machine Games might have canceled for now Wolfenstein 3 because supposedly it was about being a trilogy of games to have like a overarching story. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Again, they did pretty good with the Indiana Jones Great Circle. Again, the reviews seems to be pretty decent in the fact that you have a good sense of playing as Indiana Jones. The puzzles and the such there. I think there is some issues here and there. Some of them are on the performance side of things in terms of optimizations and the such. But other than that, it seems to be a pretty good game overall, at least so far. We just hope that these guys can at least wrap up the uh, this Wolfenstein trilogy mainline games there. Blaskowitz, that's his name. But yeah, hopefully we can see something and at least have a good trilogy or a solid trilogy to play with for Wolfenstein. But yeah, we don't know what kind of project it is. Maybe it's something unrelated to any of these two IPs here. Then you got some sale numbers from Nioh series, 8 millions again from Neon 1 and Neon 2. These I think they might be a little bit underrated. It's kind of a twist of Dark Souls gameplay mechanics there. It tries to be a fantastical in the sense of samurai era. Again, I don't exactly know the lore of this game, but it seems kind of a different twist of what they try to do with Souls-like gameplay systems there, and it differentiates itself enough to be what I think it might be a solid duology so far. I think the second one it's less better than the first. To say to be positive there, but yeah, usually they are on sale from time to time, and they seem a good alternative if you want to try out something different in that sense there. But yeah, 8 million units, it's not bad. Um, but yeah, maybe they will wrap up this with a trilogy. I'm not sure. Hopefully. Then we got also Electronic Arts supposedly no, they canceled Black Panther game and they shut down the studio, Cliffhanger. Again, the corporate talk is the usual stuff there. they need to sharpen focus and put the creative energy behind the most significant growth opportunities. So what they're basically saying that Black Panther game was not a good game, and the developers are not that good to the fact that they need to shut down the studio because it's a waste of money. That's the message that is being passed through from the president of Electronic Arts Entertainment. Uh, yeah. I don't know what to tell you. Again, we've been seeing a lot of this, some Marvel projects, games being canceled here and there. There was the Wolverine. I'm not sure how I managed to cover that, but it's not from EA. I don't even remember what studio is working on that game. But yeah, Black Panther is off. There seems to be a suitable project for EA, and supposedly everybody that works on Cliffhanger it's not a good developer. Even though they always try to, oh, we'll try to see if there is a way for them to fit inside the A structure and all that jazz. But yeah, it's a waste of money. Basically, what it's the message they are trying to put out there. Um, there's going to be you got another Iron Man game supposedly still on Motive Studios. Supposedly we are waiting also for Star Wars Jedi series, the third game from Respawn, and then supposedly the next Max Effect at BioWare, which all of them by themselves have their own stories there. But yeah, hopefully we'll. I would like to have a good closure on the Star Wars Jedi Survivors, Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor series. They are solid games. They are not something out of the ordinary or something to win prizes about, but they are pretty decent games. I enjoy playing them, even though both of them have their own issues here and there. But again, usually they are more lack of optimization on the side of the games themselves than anything else. The story seems okay. Again, everybody will have a gripe with Star Wars lore. I'm not a fundamentalist, let's say, because I'm not aware of the entirety of the lore of Star Wars. So the experience was pretty good. I made series out of both games. I enjoyed them. That's what it matters there. And then Mass Effect again at BioWare. BioWare itself is not in a good position of I don't know, delivering good games at this moment in time. So that's that. And then last we got here some interesting game here, the Funskin Project. It's kind of isometric with a very interesting art style horror game. It's in French here. I'm not sure. I will assume this will have English, at least English captions there. Uh, but yeah, it seems an interesting one. I don't know. We'll have to wait to see. It has some combat there, but again, the fact that it's isometric and it has a very interesting art style there, kind of a watercolored kind of a thing. Everything seems to be drawn in watercolor, and almost like trying to getting an aesthetic of low poly stuff there. But yeah, interesting stuff. Suppose it's kind of a mystery game. You need to solve the mystery, but got a lot of horror stuff there. But yeah, I will leave it here. You can watch the trailer on this article. And as usual, everything that I refer here, there will be links on the description below. Let's wrap up this with some game deals. We still have Epic Game Store free games. I think around, I don't know, 2 3 hours still. Deliver at all costs, Giga Apocalypse and Sifu. Free to claim for free if you want to. I already did Sifu and Deliver at all costs. I don't know when I'm going to play these games, but again, they are free. I just claimed them. We'll have two more in the upcoming hours. On Steam, we got Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut at 85% off. I do recommend both of these ones, even Deus Ex Mankind Divided. They are pretty good games. I played the first one. I didn't do a series, and I played a little bit of Mankind Divided at the time, but I didn't reach the end. So, and I completely forgot what the story is about. But I will eventually do a gaming series on this one. So I'm very interested in replaying these games here. Then we got Hard Space Shipbreaker. Seems an interesting one, kind of simulation of you just dismantling ships, spaceships. I think that the game loop there is very interesting, at least as a premise, and it's always got very positive feedback from everybody. So I think it might be something worth by 65% off. Then you got Journey again. stamp of recommendation for this game. 67% off. We got Guardians of the Galaxy is still on sale, 85% off. Very positive feedback. I managed to claim this for free on Epic Games Store a while ago. I will eventually also trying to get around and see how good this game is or not. Then we got No Man's Sky, again, 60% off, 20 plus content updates here for free. The game is basically a complete different game from when it was launched. They did an excellent job here on improving on the overall game as it is. Then we got Red Dead Redemption 2, 75% off on the base game. We got Slay the Spire, again, one of those deck builder games that is excellent of what it does. As you can see, 150 hours playing this game. Again, I didn't do everything on the game itself, but I do enjoy what I played there. And it's at this moment in time 66% off. Got Stalker 2. They did last 3 days or so, they launched a new update with a lot of fixes and bug patching, and it's 20% off. So if you want to try it, you can get it. Then Stray, again, you play as a cat. I don't think there is much else to say here. 40% off. Then you got the Evil Within franchise is also on sale, 75% on the first one and 80% on the second one. I do recommend these games, especially at this price point. I did the gaming series on both of them. You can check it out the first couple episodes to have an idea what this game is about. But yeah, I enjoy. The second one is a little bit of improvement in a lot of stuff of the first one, and I like the ideas that they're going about here on the lore of the game itself. There. Then you got The Last of Us Part One. Again, yesterday I did mention this. Again, main game, I think it's a stellar game. Don't don't I don't recommend the prequel of this game, which is the DLC of this game, and Last of Us Part Two. The way they fuck up the story and the relationship between Joel and Ellie, I think it should could be being handled way better than it is. But yeah, the game itself, the base game, is more than worth it. Uh, I think it's still an excellent game. I played like 4 times in consoles, and yeah, I think the story itself is excellent there, on the base game. That is. Then you got Vampire, 80% off. Mostly positive feedback. You play as a vampire. There is some choice and consequences there. First person view on this one. Yeah, it seems interesting on what it tries to do there. It's an older game, but again, 80% off. I think it might be worth the price of the mission here. Then you got XCOM 2. Again, I do recommend this one full heartedly. For XCOM 2 to work properly with mods, I do recommend buying all the packs there because a lot of the mods use the assets of those packs to expand on the game itself. I do recommend playing on the first run vanilla mode, so you have a good sense of how all the classes works, how the game system works, and then because the mods then expand and tweak around those basic foundations of XCOM 2, and I do recommend this to be played with different mods every run you try to play with. And then once we got the spiritual successor, let's say, Chimera Squad, it seems a pretty decent game. Tries to do a lot of tweaks on the formula of XCOM and experimentations. It's not XCOM 3 or XCOM 2.5 or something like that. I think there was an expectation when people play this game to be something in those lines, but it's not. It's something relatively different, and I think that's why it has lower scores there. Maybe some of the mechanics didn't work that well. I don't know, but the fact that they were willing to try out different things and tweak around with the XCOM formula, I think it's always something positive to see. At least they try something different. But yeah, it's pretty cheap, 85% off, and it's again $3, nothing. But yeah, I think this one might be a good buy if you want to try out something different on the XCOM side of things there. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up here today with a plug on my Patreon as usual for extra support. Again, it's for the basically seeing if I can get a new storage solution so I can have backups of stuff that I do for my clients, and of course some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next one. So till then, Kunami Master out.